Respect. It's a word we often take for granted, yet it is the invisible currency that governs the quality of our relationships, the strength of our reputations, and ultimately, the path we walk in life. To be respected is to be seen as reliable, honorable, and worthy, not just in the eyes of others, but in the mirror of our own conscience. But respect is fragile. It is neither granted blindly nor indefinitely. It is earned every day through the small actions, the choices we make when no one is watching, and the habits we cultivate. In today's world, respect is under siege. The noise of distraction, the rise of entitlement, and the erosion of integrity have left many wondering how to build and distraction into recadiment. We set closed in other world and merge. These are respecting settings justing as word visor. The decision was proud. Drawing from the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy forged in the crucible of adversity and human fallibility, we gain a timeless perspective on what it truly means to live with honor and dignity. The Stoics teach us that respect begins within, rooted in self-control, integrity, and the unwavering commitment to act rightly regardless of circumstance. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca remind us that our character is the fortress that shields us from external chaos and the bedrock upon which respect must be built. This video will examine 4 toxic habits that undermine this fortress, habits that silently erode trust and invite disrespect into our lives. These are not just flaws to correct, but profound lessons in self-mastery and personal responsibility. I will share with you raw, personal stories where I have faltered in these very ways. Moments that stripped me of respect and forced me to confront uncomfortable truths. These experiences are not mere confessions, but stepping stones, reminders that respect, like virtue, must be continually cultivated. By recognizing and uprooting these habits, you can reclaim your dignity and restore the respect you deserve, not through force or manipulation, but through the quiet power of consistent, honorable action. So, settle in with a calm mind and an open heart. This is not just about avoiding disrespect. It's about becoming the person worthy of the highest regard, from others and from yourself. Let us begin this journey with humility and resolve, because respect is not given, it is earned, guarded, and preserved by those who understand that true power lies not in dominance, but in virtue. Interrupting, the silent killer of trust. To interrupt someone is not just to speak out of turn, it is to send an unspoken message. What I have to say matters more than what you are saying. It breaks the rhythm of conversation, but more dangerously, it breaks the bond of mutual respect. The Stoics placed immense value on silence, patience, and the discipline of listening. In a world obsessed with being heard, they remind us that wisdom begins with hearing. Truly good. I once prided myself on being quick-witted, always ready with a comeback or solution before the other person had even finished their sentence. I believed I was contributing, showing intelligence and engagement. But one day, during a particularly intense meeting, my manager stopped mid-discussion and said bluntly, "You need to let people finish their thoughts." Her words landed with a force I wasn't ready for. Afterward, a colleague added, "Do you even realize how dismissive you come across? It's like you think your ideas are the only ones that..." That moment shattered something in me, or rather it revealed what was already broken. Interrupting wasn't just a bad habit, it was a reflection of ego, of unchecked impatience, of a deep insecurity that needed to prove itself by always having the last word. The Stoics would call this a failure of logos, of rational harmony, where the ego disrupts the sacred order of dialogue. Seneca teaches us to speak less and listen more, for speech can deceive, but silence is a sign of mastery. When we interrupt, we betray a lack of self-control. We show others that we are not truly present, not to change. I began practicing active listening. When someone spoke, I resisted the urge to prepare my response. Instead, I gave them space, real space, to be heard. And I noticed something remarkable. Conversations became deeper. People opened up more. I learned things I would never have known if I had kept talking. Interrupting isn't just rude, it reveals what we value, and if we value only our own voice, we will lose the voices of others. If you want to be respected, Begin by respecting the words of those around you, not just by staying quiet, but by becoming deeply, mindfully attentive. 2. Complaining, the habit that weakens the spirit. To complain is to surrender to helplessness. It is the language of those who have forgotten their power. While it may feel like a release, a venting of inner pressure, it quickly becomes a toxin, weakening your mind, your relationships, and your spirit. The Stoics saw complaining not just as a social flaw, but a philosophical failure, a refusal to accept reality and take responsibility for one's response to it. I remember a period in my life when I became a chronic complainer. The job was wrong, the people were difficult, the system was unfair. Every conversation was a litany of grievances. I thought it made me relatable, that it showed authenticity. But slowly, I noticed people withdrawing. The warmth in their eyes began to fade. One friend finally said to me, "I love you, but it's exhausting to be around you." That line pierced me. It wasn't just that I was hard to talk to. I had become someone others didn't want to be around. The Stoics teach us that we must not waste our energy, lamenting the conditions of our life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Complaining steals that power. It traps you in the illusion that the problem is always out there, never within. When I finally realized this, I made a quiet vow to stop speaking of problems without offering solutions. I replaced complaint with reflection. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" I asked, "What can I learn from this?" And when I wanted to rant, I wrote in a private journal instead, not to infect others, but to purge and understand my own mind. Gratitude and problem-solving became my allies, and with them, respect returned. Not because life became perfect, but because I stopped being ruled by bitterness. If you want people to respect you, stop filling the air with complaints. Fill it with clarity, calmness, and the courage to act despite adversity. 3. Justifying everything, the ego's defense mechanism. There is a dangerous habit that often wears the mask of intelligence, the tendency to justify every mistake, every failure, every flaw with a clever excuse. But what it truly reveals is fear. Fear of accountability, fear of being seen as imperfect. And in that fear, we lose something precious, our credibility. For a long time, I was quick to explain away my shortcomings. Missed deadlines, the system was broken. Miscommunications, the other person misunderstood me. Every error had a backstory, and I told it like a polished defense lawyer. But in time, I noticed that people stopped trusting me. They smiled politely, but behind their eyes, I saw skepticism. The truth was simple. I was always explaining, but never owning. The Stoics would call this a failure of courage. Epictetus taught that the path to freedom lies in facing truth, not spinning it. Justification is the ego's way of avoiding humility, but humility is the gateway to respect. The turning point came when I finally told a colleague, "That was my fault, no excuses." The silence that followed was not uncomfortable. It was powerful. It signaled maturity, accountability. Respect is not earned by never failing. It is earned by standing in full ownership when you do. Let your actions speak, and when they falter, let your honesty restore their weight. People will forgive a mistake, but they rarely forgive a refusal to admit it. 4. Speaking negatively about others, the poison of gossip. To speak ill of others behind their back is to betray your own soul. It is a form of self-poisoning, one that often begins with the thrill of connection, but ends in the erosion of trust. Gossip is cheap currency. It buys attention, but at the cost of integrity. I once found myself in circles where sarcasm and judgment flowed freely. It felt like bonding. We laughed at others' expense. But over time, I noticed something hollow in that laughter. And worse, I noticed that the same people I gossiped with began to gossip about me. Trust became an illusion. The entire environment became one of suspicion. Seneca warned that he who indulges in gossip diminishes himself. The Stoics remind us that the character we show in private determines who we truly are. Speaking negatively about others not only dishonors them, it reveals our own lack of discipline, our insecurity, and our envy. I made a vow that day to never speak about someone in a way I wouldn't to their face. At first, it made me quieter in conversations, but eventually, it made me stronger. People began to trust me more. They knew I would. Conclusion: choose discipline over comfort and earn true respect. Each of these habits, interrupting, complaining, justifying, and gossiping, are easy. They are comfort behaviors. But comfort often comes at the expense of character. The Stoics call us to a higher path, one of discipline, integrity, and self-awareness. A path where respect is not begged for or manipulated. It is earned through the way we carry ourselves. So I ask you, which of these habits lives in your shadow? And what are you willing to do to bring light to it? If this message spoke to you, subscribe to Beyond Vision Mindset and join our mission to live with virtue, purpose, and unshakable inner strength. Leave a comment below. Which of these habits are you working to change? And if you believe in the power of content like this, you can support this channel through a coffee donation, super chat, or sticker. Every bit of support helps us continue this journey of growth and truth. Until next time, stay strong, stay disciplined, stay stoic.